think the biggest barrier is the lack of knowledge. I think any sort of gender specific needs tend to get overlooked in the care services. And I think there is a real lack of attention to sort of reproductive health and sort of age related concerns. So I think that's why women, especially with learning disabilities, are completely unprepared for the menopause. Any literature we have about the menopause really looks at the symptoms, the physical symptoms, the hot flashes, night sweats, but it doesn't address the emotional and social impacts of the menopause. So I think where women with learning disabilities fall down is that their needs are largely ignored. I think there is a lack of recognition that women with learning disabilities have anything to do with sex or reproductive care. I think that there is this stereotyping that stigmatizes women with learning disabilities, that these women are not sexually active, so they don't need reproductive health care, which can lead to neglect, really, or very minimized healthcare sort of attention. So I think it's this there's a double whammy. There is a stigma with menopause, which everybody suffers from. It's not just women with learning disabilities. I think all women. Thank goodness for Davina McCall, or we wouldn't be talking about it now. But I think that the double whammy is then, if you have a woman with learning disabilities, there is this stereotype that those ladies, they're not sexual, so you don't need to do anything around reproductive health care for them. And I think that's what leads to the barriers. I think what happens is we, possible health professionals, look towards sort of more the sort of disability rather to the health. So they would put down, such things as mood swings, hot flashes, sleep disturbances, rather assuming that automatically, oh, this is a lady of a certain age that may be going through the menopause. They then think, oh no, this is behavioural, or this is something to do with their disability. It isn't the first point of, is this woman of menopausal age? Yes, she is. So let's go down that line. And I think that's where the break is. That's where the barrier is, I think. And I think it's across, it's across all the sector. I think it's not just the healthcare professionals. I think it's support staff as well, because if you have support staff who don't understand the menopause, how are you going to then project that onto the people you are supporting? It's again that lack of education around the menopause in general. I think it's I never thought I'd be quoting Tony Blair here, but I think it is that education. There needs to be more open conversations. There needs to be more, it needs to be addressed more with the people we support, with families, with healthcare professionals, that, these women need reproductive healthcare, they have rights, and I think they are very much minimised. I think it's a fear that prevents people from talking about it. I think there is still such a huge stigma about it. The fact that it's still called the change, and in whispered conversations, where actually, it's a very real thing. There's nothing to be ashamed of it. It's just part of what happens to women, through their lifetime. And there needs to be less of that behind closed doors whispering, and more just, this lady is of menopausal age, this is what can happen, and this is how we will treat her for that.
Are there any existing programs or initiatives at the moment?
There are lots, and the good thing is it's becoming more and more talked about, which I think is the most brilliant thing. There's an amazing report that was written by Michelle McCarthy and Lorraine Millard as part of the Growing Older with Learning Disabilities. They speak very candidly about it. You have other charities, you have Choice Support, who have fantastic program called Supported Loving. They talk about it. There's more easy reads coming out from the Foundation for People with Learning Disabilities. So there's lots of advice out there, and it's all a step in the right direction. But there is so much more work that needs to be done just to ensure that people get the right access to care and the right support that they need during menopause.
What would you say? How can friends, family, support staff, how can they better support women with learning disabilities during menopause?
I mean, knowledge is power. I think if there definitely needs to be mandatory training around reproductive care for women that is in all healthcare sectors. I think that we have to lessen the stigma because people will be supported by men also, and it's important that men understand and don't put it down to behaviours or aren't embarrassed by it. I think there needs to be better education for people with learning disabilities around their reproductive life, around, periods, contraceptive, all of those things, birth control, all of that needs to be talked more openly than it is at the moment. I think there is a fear that sort of goes down that line of, oh, they won't understand it and we don't want to frighten. Whenever I've had candid conversation with people, nobody's frightened. They want to know because it's their body. And I think in suppressing that, in not allowing that open conversation to happen, you are shrinking the life of that woman. You are not allowing her to take control of her own body. You are not allowing her to fully understand what is happening with her body. And with that knowledge and knowing that, I'm a 53-year-old woman who's going through menopause at the moment, and at times I think I worry, I get anxiety for no reason. I think, oh my goodness, why is that happening? So then, if you put that with somebody who already has anxiety issues, who already has a disability, and that suddenly happens to them, not knowing why is incredibly confusing, is incredibly worrying for them. Will bring, it's. And of course, people with learning disabilities may have communication difficulties as well. So not being able to express that what's happening will often lead to it being a behaviour. Now, every behaviour is a conversation everywhere. Any behaviour somebody is trying to tell you, they're trying to communicate with you. But I think as support staff, as healthcare professionals, you can get lost in that behaviour and treating the behaviour rather than looking at it as, okay, this might be the menopause. This might be as simple as somebody needing some HRT, some estrogen, and I think we are missing that. And in doing that, we are failing, sounds very hard, but in doing that, we are not helping, we're not truly supporting the women that are there. I mean, we've been working with the local authority nursing team because they're also interested in menopause and learning disabilities. And I've always thought we have a women's group here. We talk about all things. I kind of thought, yeah, no, we're okay. We're getting there. And they did a survey, and I would say 75% of the women at that survey didn't even know what the menopause was, which really shocked me. Really shocked me because the menopause, some people get away with it, no symptoms at all. Some people have terrible time during the menopause, and to not understand, to not know why that's happening must be terrifying. On International Women's Day, we should celebrate everything about being female, even the difficult, uncomfortable and messy things, because that's what make women fantastic, and especially the people we support.